So by now you should have read Shooting an Elephant by George Orwell, and you should have analyzed the text and answered some questions. So for today's lesson, we are going to be doing a compare and contrast, and we are going to be looking at comparing and contrasting some of the major symbols in his essay. So there's two parts to this compare and contrast assignment. Part one is asking you to compare and contrast the killing of the elephant to the killing of the Indian coolie. So we will, in this lesson, be talking about the compare and contrast and some of the similarities and differences and some of the things that are the same as well. In part two, you are asked to compare and contrast two other symbols in George Orwell's essay, and those symbols are the rifle, so the gun, and the elephant. So as we know, they both, again, are very important symbols, and we will be discussing just in a few minutes here how they are similar, how they are different in our compare and contrast Venn diagram. So also included in your assignment handout is a Venn diagram. What a Venn diagram is, it is two circles that overlap in the center. On either side, we talk about what is different or unique about the text that we're talking about, or the essay, or whatever we're talking about, the object. And then in the center, the things that are the same or similar that overlap. So feel free to fill out this Venn diagram. It definitely will probably help you. I have some talking points on the screen here as well that I will be discussing briefly. Just to help you along in your response. Again, these are just talking points. They're just point form. If you have anything to add in your response, please do. Again, these are very basic. They will need to be expanded upon, so don't rely solely on my talking points here in your response. You can definitely use them and use parts of them, but you will need to expand them as well. So the first compare and contrast we are going to do is the killing of the elephant versus the killing of the Indian coolie. So the killing of the elephant, it was an animal originally chained up but escaped, and it caused havoc to the town and its people. Obviously, we know elephants are large and have the capacity to hurt people because of their size. The elephant was shot. It suffered a long and agonizing death. The elephant suffered and bled out from the wounds inflicted by the rifle when George Orwell shot the elephant. The elephant is considered very sacred, and Orwell makes a statement there in regards to that. The passing of the elephant dives into more length, and Orwell definitely spends a lot more time in his essay describing the death of the elephant. The way the elephant bleeds out and suffers is supposed to represent the countries who have suffered due to British colonization. So that is a very important point. So I highly suggest that you do expand on that in part of your response. Okay, now we're going to look at the killing of the Indian coolie and some of the notes I made. The coolie is no threat to the public. He is an unarmed, defenseless individual. He is a working class laborer. So again, he's no threat to anyone really. He is crushed, so he suffers a very quick death. He is crushed essentially by the weight of the large animal. The coolie is expendable. This means that there are lots of unskilled laborers in the village or in the town. So he can be replaced super easy. The Burmese people were upset about the killing of the coolie, where they were not. Which we will talk about. The elephant was the opposite. There's a lot less detail given in regards to the killing of the coolie. Like I had said, Orwell spends a great deal talking about the death and the shooting of the elephant, but the coolie, he doesn't write much about it. So that's also very significant. Okay, then some similarities between the elephant and the coolie. So both are workers. The elephant represents the working man. The elephant is known as a working animal, and the coolie obviously is a lower class laborer who is considered a worker. Both have been colonized, subjected, and ruled by the British. The elephant is originally chained up and controlled by the Burmese people. The Burmese people are controlled and oppressed by the British, so that is a very important point there. The reader is left feeling sympathy for both the Indian coolie and the elephant because their deaths both were very undeserving. Both had unfortunate deaths. Obviously, both died. Probably both did not deserve to die, but they did die in very different manners. So part 2 of this assignment is asking you to compare and or contrast two of the major symbols in George Orwell's essay, the rifle, so the gun, and the elephant. So again, there is a Venn diagram included in your handout assignment. It is optional to fill out, but I do highly suggest that you fill it out just because it will help you to organize your ideas and make the actual writing a little bit easier for you. Okay, so my talking points for the similarities and differences between the two, I will briefly discuss them. Again, they're just point form. You will need to expand on any of these that you do decide to use. And again, if you have other ideas that you think are important from the text, please use them as well. Okay, so the rifle. The rifle is a symbol of military power and righteousness. It is a representation of the colonizers and how they controlled Burma and oppressed the Burmese people. So this is a very important point. The gun, the rifle, is obviously a small object as compared to the elephant, which is large. The rifle is a symbol of self-defense. The rifle does not have thoughts or a conscience. The rifle is an inanimate object. It is not alive. It relies on the actions of a person to accomplish a specific task, so obviously firing the gun. The elephant symbolizes the people of Burma and the result of imperialism. The elephant is chained and controlled, as are the Burmese people. With that being said, the Burmese people are not essentially chained down, but they are totally controlled by the British, so they don't have a lot of say in anything. The elephant is powerless, minus its strength, so it does have its size working for it, but other than that, it doesn't hold a lot of power. Very much again like the people of Burma. So as mentioned, the elephant is a very large animal. It is a living being, so it is alive, it has a will and a mind of its own, hence why it did react the way it did. So some things that are similar between the rifle and the elephant. Both things are used to accomplish a task. So the elephant is used for work, the rifle is obviously used to traditionally kill. Both are under the ownership of an individual. A Burmese person owned the elephant, while the rifle was owned by the Imperial Police, so the British police force. When you do create your response, please do label part 1 and part 2 so that we know what we are reading and what we are looking for when we are doing our marking. Also, do your best to type it out and use proper MLA formatting. You do not need a thesis statement for this because it is just a basic response. But please do try to have some kind of hook at the beginning to entice your teacher or your reader to be interested in what you are writing about. And then at the end, try to have some type of just a short conclusion, a sentence or two that sums up your responses. Good luck.